Welcome to video series number 3, PV Loop Data Acquisition. In this video, we'll review some of the options for acquiring PV Loop data using Leycom's ConductNT software. So far, we have created a new study, delivered an optimized positioning of the PV Loop catheter, removed any unwanted volume segments, and are ready to collect PV Loop data. For purposes of this video, we do not have a live specimen to collect active PV loops, but we'll still be able to showcase two features for collecting PV loop data. I am now in live PV loop acquisition mode, where typically we'd see PV loops being populated at the bottom right hand of your screen. Please recall that the PV loop catheter is not in a patient, thus this is for demonstration purposes only. The first and most common option for recording PV loop data is to use the red button at the top left hand of the screen. Once I click Start Acquiring, I will see an acquiring prompt at the top of the screen, as well as a count up timer to give an idea of how long the data file will last. In order to stop this, there's a stop button, or you can click Stop Acquiring, which will then stop the PV loop recording. Note in this new window, there is a comment field to describe what is contained within this PV loop file. For our purposes, we'll call this baseline 2. Two other things to note is that the default type is that this is a PV loop data file, which should remain the same. Also, by default, we are saving this file into dataset 1. From here, I can click to start and stop recording as many times as desired. We typically recommend collecting a minimum of 15 seconds per recording to capture any respiratory variation and to ensure that we have enough PV loops to make a determination of the hemodynamic state. If there are PVCs or erroneous beats, we can remove these later and post data processing. Depending on your protocol, the other option for data acquisition is called Interval Acquire, which is the clock icon on the top left of the screen. By selecting this icon, you can input the stats behind the interval acquisition. This is a 60-second acquire time for each PV loop file, with a 1-second pause performed 100 times. So essentially we have continuous PV loop recording with a 1-second pause between each 60-second interval. Please note you can save data either as a single file or as multiple files. We highly recommend using the multiple files feature to ease the burden of data processing on the back end. From here, the user does not have to do anything else to acquire PV loop data. It's very much a start and don't touch it type feature. Note that the names of the files will be in a sequential numeric order, unlike the manual start and stop function we reviewed earlier, where the user would input a comment to describe that of the file. As a reminder, it is good practice to obtain at least a 15-second recording to capture respiratory variation and ensure we have a significant number of PV loops in our data file. Also, we want to capture a minimum of 2 files per condition, for example, baseline 1 and 2, or post-MitraClip 1 and 2. And lastly, if there's a loading change, such as a Valsalva maneuver, it's good to start your recording just before the patient starts to bear down and let it run until after the patient has recovered. This way we can capture the full change of the PV loops.